Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you an easy kayak scratch repair method. Let's get to it. So this is the scratch I'll be working on today. It came with the boat. When my boat arrived, it had a scratch on it. So I wasn't pleased, but I did my research and I found this method to fix it. And I'm going to share that with you today. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure this area is clean. Especially if you've been using your kayak and it's got a little bit of gunk on it. All I used was some dish soap and some warm water. And then the other part of that is you have to make sure it is dry, completely dry, no moisture at all, or else you will not get good results. So after I've cleaned it and I dried it and I let it sit for a little bit to make sure there's no water on it, this is the next step. So this is everything I'll be using today to fix my kayak. In total, it put me back around $45. So all in all, not too bad. Starting off, we have the cheapest brush I could find at Home Depot. It's like $1.35. For what I'm doing, you won't really need an expensive one. Now we have two different grits of sandpaper. I've got 80 and 180. Now as far as size, that's just the cheapest they had in those grits. The 80 will be used to sand down the area so we can get a good surface for applying the Bondo. And the 180 is for finishing up the product at the end. Now this stuff is our secret weapon. This is a fiberglass resin from Bondo that's designed for boat use. You can use it underwater, above water. It's probably the most expensive thing here. It was like $31, and it comes with the hardener. The hardener, if you run out, is about $8 for one of the bigger tubes, but for what we're doing today, we won't need any more. Now, if you have a bigger hole or a bigger scratch than I have, they do have mesh fabric that you can use to put down on the surface so the Bondo can stick to and harden on. For our purposes, we won't need that today, but I'll put the link in the description below as well. So for this next step, we're going to sand down the surface area. We don't want any jagged edges, and we don't want any bumps. So we want one smooth surface to apply the Bondo on. So I'm using 80 grit sandpaper here. 80 grit is coarser than the 180. Rule of thumb for sandpaper, the bigger the number, the finer it is. So this is a kind of aggressive, not too aggressive though. I do not recommend using a sander because by sanding it by hand, you're able to gauge how much you're taking off and if there's any areas you missed. With a power sander, you're not going to have that control, and you really don't want to take too much off, especially if this is just a fiberglass kayak. On a bigger boat, a sander will be fine. For our purposes today, we don't need a sander. So I'm going to take that and sand down my edges. So after a few minutes of sanding, this is what I'm left with. Surface is a lot rougher, that's good. That way the liquid fiberglass can bond to the existing fiberglass. This is as far as I wanted to get down. I could have gone a little farther, but for our purposes today, this is good enough. You see there's a little bit of that crack left. So all in all, not bad. All right, time for the next step. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the fiberglass resin, this is the hardener. Some things to keep in mind. One, wear gloves. This stuff will burn your skin. This stuff is not safe for children. Please use in a well-ventilated area. Do not expose to fire. I cannot stress how much this is dangerous. Please be safe. Do not use around small animals, and do not let on your clothes or skin. This stuff is the hardener. Do not mix the hardener in the can. You will waste $30. Do not use the whole thing. You don't need the whole thing. For what we're doing today, since we have a small area, about 10 drops is all I'm going to need. So what I'm going to do is, again, well-ventilated area. I'm in my garage right now. It'd be better if I was outside. Pour a little bit into my little cup here. It's probably more than I need. Oh well, not the end of the world. So you get a pin. I don't have a pin. I have a fork that I will not be using this evening. I'll be washing it thoroughly. Using a poke the top of the hardener. All you want is a little hole. Like so. All right, perfect. A little hole, all we need. And now you're gonna put in about 10 or 12 drops and have your paintbrush ready. Again, this is the cheapest paintbrush I could find at Home Depot. I don't need a big one. I don't have a big area to repair. Make sure this cup is clean like I did. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why not one more for good measure? Close this back up. Again, this stuff is not cheap. Do not waste it. And now all you're gonna do is mix it together. Now that I mixed in my hardener, and I put a few more drops after we finished recording, this is what it looks like. It's not as clear anymore. I'm going to apply this evenly to the surface. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a big hole or a bigger scratch, you should use the mesh cloth that they sell at Home Depot next to it. I'll put that product in the description below as well. But for now, all I'm going to do is mix it up, and I'm just going to apply it evenly to the surface. So after a few minutes, this is what we're left with. I put probably a little more on than I had to. That's all right. The more the better. And I mixed too much to begin with. So the box said that after 2 hours on a decently warm day, this will be sandable. It's a little cooler outside, so we're gonna have to wait a little longer. But we'll see you then. So a little more time has passed. We're getting close to that 2 hour mark where this will be sandable. And this is looking really good. It is not sticky at all now. It is basically molded right onto my kayak here. Right now, all we do is wait a little more and I'll be able to sand it. Alrighty, so now it is a few hours later. It's around 9 o'clock at night. And as you can see, this is a fully hardened finish. So now all we're doing is we're just sanding off the excess. Especially you want to make sure you sand down the edges so that they kind of join with the kayak, and also some of these big things. So here we go. Alrighty, this is our final product. As you can see, this is our scratch. It is fully filled. It is nice and smooth with the rest of the kayak. A little bit of extra area over here. We can sand that down later. A little splotchiness, that's alright. This will be at the bottom of the kayak. No one's going to see it. I have to say, I'm really impressed with this product. It has given my kayak an insurance policy and a second life. Now, there is a second product that Bondo recommends you use as a final coating. We don't need to do that today. For our purposes, this is going to work just fine. Anyway, that's my video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know if you'd recommend anything else or if you found this video helpful. Thank you very much, and good luck out on the water.